It's been said that better questions lead us naturally to better answers, and that it's in not knowing that we open the doorway to knowing. I'm Scott Lennox, and you're listening to The Beautiful Question, a consideration of things that truly matter in a complex world. What labels have been put on you that never really belonged to you? How long have you worn them? Do you have any idea where you got them or what damage they've caused to you and to other people? If you could rid yourself of every single one of them right now, what would you do? Join me this week as we consider the process of labeling and ways of letting the old labels fall away. After recent conversations with clients in my office about the labels they've struggled with, I've been giving considerable thought to the matter of labeling, including the ways we label each other and the ways we impose labels on ourselves. I wrote about this years ago in one of my earliest newsletters, yet the subject arises so often that it's worthy of our reconsideration. Without a doubt, there are circumstances where labels are not only useful, but can be life-saving. When we're searching for something, we depend on labels to help us determine whether or not the product is the one we're looking for, and whether or not it has the qualities or the ingredients that we want. Medication labels tell us about strength and dosage times and possible cross-reactions. Cleaning products tell us about their proper use and offer warnings about safety and toxicity. Labels on packages of food list the ingredients and the number of calories per serving. Labels on new sets of bedding show the thread count and tell what kind of fibers were used to make them. I recently saw a label that was printed in 4 different languages. Studying the labels, we'll accept or reject the product based on the information we're shown, and in most cases, the information we're shown is valid. That's useful when we're shopping for something. But what happens when the labels aren't applied to products, but to people, including ourselves? Since you already know that the so-called labels we're talking about are judgments or opinions and not facts, what happens when the labels don't in any way reflect the true content or capacity or nature of the person who's been made to carry them? What happens when the labels are outright lies? I think of a college classmate who was labeled as pretty but not too bright. Every day, she went to class carrying nothing more than a hairbrush and the key to her dorm room. No pen, no notebook, no textbook, just a brush and a key. I can remember hearing someone ask, why does she even bother going to class? You know, it would be years before I learned that she had a perfect auditory and visual memory, and that she graduated with a 4.0 in accounting. She didn't carry a pen or a notebook because she didn't need them. She was scholastically brilliant, but that's not how people labeled her. I think of an infantry soldier in my unit in Vietnam. Because he came from a small town and spoke with a strong Texas drawl, some of the men made endless fun of him. They called him names and labeled him as just a dumb country hick. But that stopped when he acted with such courage and precision under a hail of gunfire that he single-handedly saved another soldier's life while clearly risking his own. He was heroic and profoundly caring, but that's not how he'd been labeled. Last week, after a particularly moving and tear-filled session with a client about the labels she grew up with, I looked back at some of the labels I had carried for decades. Dirty, broken, stupid, guilty, messy, unlovable, unable to learn or concentrate, outsider, failure, selfish, arrogant, lazy. The list was a long one. Many of those labels or judgments were put on to me by my teachers or others while I was growing up. Some of them, though, I imposed on myself along the way. You know, one of the biggest problems they created was that as I came to believe them, I acted as if the labels were true, and that I really was what they falsely described. In doing so, I don't know how many doors I closed to innumerable good things in my life. I don't know how many people or opportunities I pushed away, making choices that were anything but good for me. Again and again, I turned my back on happiness and peace, believing that they weren't for me. How could they be? My labels said no and don't and not for you, Scott, and you don't deserve it, or who in the world do you think you're kidding? Yet, once I was able to identify the labels for what they were, and could see what I was doing as a result of them, regardless of when or where or by whom they were applied, I was able to begin shedding them. The change came when I allowed myself to be still enough to listen to my innate self and my innate wisdom. As I slowly and increasingly leaned into what I knew to be true, an inner resonance began to rise on its own, and with it, feelings of goodness and hope and a kind of freshness I still have difficulty putting into words. But isn't that the way it is when we stand in the face of what is ineffably true? The more I leaned in, the more I noticed the positive feelings coming up inside me. And the more that happened, the easier it was to see that the labels I'd been wearing were totally out of resonance with who and what I am. They were all distortions and lies. From that single insight came the conscious decision to engage in what I knew to be right for me. One of the first right things was to allow every false label to fall away by replacing my negative habits of thinking and my negative beliefs with the truth, replacing them with something more useful, more satisfying, and much more uplifting. Strip away all the labels you've been wearing. Peel off every negative thought or idea that someone else applied to you or that you adopted for yourself, and you'll find yourself quietly and naturally returning to a state of complete authenticity. From that centered and well-grounded place, it's simple and easy to make healthier choices for yourself. When you intentionally reject every label that has ever been applied to you or self-applied, you'll return to living as the person you were created to be. Then, as you flourish, you'll stop judging and labeling yourself. And you'll quite naturally stop judging and labeling other people. This might be a great week to play a rewarding internal game. Start by quieting yourself long enough to listen, really listen, to your own awareness. Notice the inaccurate and distorted descriptions that you accepted from others or applied to yourself. Notice the lies and call them what they are. Then, without having to do a single thing, notice the labels peeling away and falling to the ground. Don't hurry the moment. Just watch and notice what happens as the labels keep falling away from you, blowing away like dry leaves in a rising breeze. Notice the authentic and powerful you that has been underneath the judgments and the labels the whole time. And so to help you do that, here are 4 beautiful questions. 1. Without judging yourself or applying new labels, what do you sense or see beneath the old labels you wore? 2. What greater or more complete self are you aware of? Question 3. What are the qualities of your greater self? That's an important one. What are the qualities of your greater self? And finally, question 4. How will you now go about living in greater and greater resonance with your new awareness and with your essential and wonderful self? Spend as much time as you like feeling completely at home with your unlabeled, authentic self. Then write and tell me about it. I'd like to hear what good things happen for you. As I say each week, my light with your light. Thank you again for listening. I'm always inspired by our collaboration as we work and play together, building better lives and better possibilities for ourselves, for one another, for the world, and for our beautiful planet home. I look forward to your comments and to your feedback. You can also be inspired by visiting my good friends at Cosmos Journal. That's KOSMOS Journal. Their mission is to inform, inspire, and engage global transformation in harmony with all life. You can easily find them online at cosmosjournal.org. And as always, you can find my free podcasts and guided relaxation audios by searching for The Beautiful Question in Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud or CastBox, or by visiting the podcast page of my website at scottlennox.com. If you find them useful or encouraging, don't hesitate to share them. I'm Scott Lennox, and this has been The Beautiful Question. The Beautiful Question is a One Light production, written, recorded, produced, and funded by Scott Lennox at Heart Rock Studios in Fort Worth, Texas, as a way of paying forward to life, being fully present, becoming better engaged with things that truly matter in a complex world, and committing to a healthier future for all of us.